Alright guys, welcome to our lesson on basic formulas in Excel. So this lesson is going to be tricky for some of you guys because this is where you're going to see the math side of Microsoft Excel. Up until now, we've learned about rows and columns in Excel. We've learned a little bit about how to color and how to arrange our rows and columns, how to use our paint bucket. We learned about the F4 key. We learned that columns are denoted by letters and rows by numbers on the side, and we know that we can basically shrink our rows and columns down. So we're going to learn a few more tricks in this particular lesson. This may be kind of a longer video, but this should be kind of a fun assignment, because in the long run you guys are basically going to try to spend $1 million, and there are some rules involved here. Alright, so your learning goal is that you'll be able to format and use basic formulas in Excel 2016. Your objective is that you will use formulas in an Excel spreadsheet in order to try and spend $1 million. Your vocabulary: formula, header footer, cell, cell reference, orientation, and cell format. Okay. So here's our actual directions, and this should be fun. Alright, so it says, congratulations, you have just inherited $1 million. Let's see if you can spend exactly $1 million on 10 different items. You may purchase more than one of a particular item, but you must have 10 items listed. The spreadsheet will help you decide how to spend your money. Alright, step number 1. Open a new Excel spreadsheet. Make the initial changes to the landscape format. Make the initial changes, to landscape format. And add a center footer with the name $1 million. In the left footer, type your name, and in the right footer, insert the date. So there's a lot to do right there. Okay, so we need to change this to landscape orientation. So under page layout, open up your Excel. Notice how right now it says book 1 at the very top. That means this is our workbook, and we're working on sheet number 1. Okay, so it says it wants us to do our orientation. So we're going to go from portrait orientation to landscape. And you can kind of think of your orientation of your page as kind of like standard TV versus widescreen TV. Okay, so this is like if you were watching your phone and your phone was sitting upright. That's what it would look like. And then if you turn your phone to the side, you're on landscape view. So let's go ahead and change it to landscape view. Alright, it did a whole lot of nothing. It actually did. If you notice, look at this little dotted line and where it is. When I go to portrait, if I were to print this, it would actually cut off at column J. So it would only really have room to print this area right here. With landscape, notice how I have a little bit more room. It's a little bit wider. Okay? Alright. It says to add a footer. So we're going to say insert tab. And we're going to say header footer over here on the right hand side. Now Excel's a little weird with headers and footers. When you say header footer, it initially jumps you into a header. You have to actually come up here and say go to footer. And when you say go to footer, you're going to notice that Excel actually has 3 footers: a center footer, a left footer, and a right footer. And a footer is just a way that you can actually put notes in your Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so it says that once in the right footer, in the left footer, type your name. In the right footer, insert the date. And in the middle footer, we're going to put $1 million. Alright, so right here, let's type in $1 million. Here we're going to put our name. Yep, that's right. And in here we're going to actually insert the date. I don't want you to type the date. I actually want you to come up here where under header footer where it says current date and click that. It's going to look a little weird because it's going to have this little ampersand and it's going to say date, and then just click off of it and you're going to notice that it has today's date. When you open this up tomorrow, you're going to notice that the date automatically updates. And let's go ahead, I know this isn't in the directions, but it really bothers me the way that it's not centered. So let's go ahead and center this. Let's go to the home tab or header footer. Okay, never mind. We're not going to center anything because in Excel 2016 it doesn't seem to be there. Whatever. Moving right along. Okay, so we got our $1 million, we got our name, we got our date in there. Alright. It says set up your spreadsheet so that it looks like this. So you got item in cell A1, cost of item in cell B1, how many or quantity in cell C1, and total in cell D1. It says make the following format changes. Widen columns as necessary, bold the labels, right align the contents of columns B, C, and D, format the numbers in columns B and D for currency, add whatever borders, and fill colors desired to make the spreadsheet exciting and appealing. Alright, so let's start just by doing item, cost of item, how many, total, and then we're going to put grand total down here in cell C12. Okay, so we got, let's go back up, cell A1, we have name of item, and notice how my text is actually going off my grid a little bit. I'm going to come up here and hover in between the A and the B column letters, and I'm just going to drag it out and make it a little bit bigger. Notice how my cursor changes to an arrow that faces to the left and the right. I can now make that column as wide as I need it to be. Okay? So we have item, cost of item, how many in total? Cost of item, how many, and total. And I'm actually pressing tab on my keyboard. Tab on your keyboard will actually send you to the next cell, and enter on your keyboard will actually send you to the cell below. Alright, so those are a few shortcuts. Tab will send you to the cell to the right, enter will send you to the cell below where you have clicked. Alright, so let's widen up column B a little bit so we can actually see it. Let's widen up column C. We have our total column here, and then in cell C12 it says it wants a grand total, and that's going to be right here. So right now I think our spreadsheet kind of looks like that. Alright, so it's good. It says widen the columns as necessary. We already did that. Bold the labels in row 1 and cell C12. Okay, so it's talking about these labels. It wants these to be bold. So I'm just going to, with my white cross, I'm going to click up here and just drag right across. I'm going to come up here and say bold. I'm going to click in cell C12, and I'm going to come up here and say bold. Alright, so that's done. Right align the contents of columns B, C, and D. Right align the contents of cells B, C, and D. B, C, D. Yeah, it's talking about, like, we can just right align everything here again. I don't know. So right now, it's bottom align, and if you look over here, you've got something that says align right. So we're going to say align right. Okay? Notice how text, when you type in text, by default it aligns to the left. But check this out. When I type in a number, any number, it actually aligns to the right of the cell. When I type in a letter, it actually aligns to the left of the cell. Okay? Letters align to the left, numbers align to the right. So I wanted these all to align to the right. Numbers should actually align to the right, align to the left anyway. So it now, notice how when I type in the 5 over here, it actually aligns to the right. But when I type in the 5 over here, well, that's weird. Of course it didn't work. Weird. Align to the right. Well, there we go. Okay. Well. Alright, guys. I'm just going to keep going. It's too early for all this. Alright. Format the numbers in columns B and D for currency. In columns B and D for currency. So we're going to select columns B and D. We're going to format these cells. So right click and say format cells for currency. So we're going to come up here and say number. We're going to say currency. We're going to say do 2 decimal places, and we want to say $sign. Okay? What that does is it says, you know, if I type in a 5 right here, it's just a 5. If I type in a 5 right here, it now says $5. Okay? So it automatically puts the decimal places and the $signs there for you. So you can format your cells for currency, for dates, or anything like that. It says add whatever borders. So check this out. I'm going to go ahead and select this entire thing right here, and kind of think of this as you making this a table. We're not making it a table. We could, but I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say thick outside borders. And now if you look at my selection here, I do have a thick outside border. I'm going to come up here to borders again, and I'm going to say, let's say all borders. There. So now we can really keep track of what we're buying and the cost of it, how many we're buying, and we're going to put in formulas here to actually keep track of all that good stuff. Alright. In cells A2 through A11, type the name of each item you want to buy if you had $1 million. Make column A wide enough to display your longest entry. Your spreadsheet entries should look something like this. Okay? This is what it's talking about. It says, enter the cost of each item and type these amounts into cell B2 through B11. After typing the cost of each item, one or more of your cells might be filled with number signs instead of the actual numbers. The pound symbol indicates that the column is too narrow to display the entire number. Increase the column width until the entire number shows. Okay? In column C, type the quantity of each item you would like to purchase. In column D, figure out the total column, use cell addresses, and build formulas. So check this out. I'm going to build one with you. Let's just say I'm going to go to like Amazon or something. Let's just say that I want to buy, I don't know, let's say I want to buy this thing right here. The Amazon Echo in black. It's $179.99. I can buy quite a few of these. I have $1 million to spend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Amazon Echo Black. That's going to be my item. Copy that. Go to my spreadsheet. Paste that into the name of the item. Right there. Cost of the item. It says $179.99. So I'm going to type that in here. $179.99. How many? Let's say I want to buy 10 of them. Alright. So now, I wonder why I wanted to format this. I think I made a mistake because I was supposed to do C and D. I'm going to select this.
Good morning, teachers.
Oh, Jesus.
This morning would be...
Okay. I'm going to reformat this. I'm going to right click and say format cells and just say number. No decimal places. And just say OK. There. I'm going to format this row for currency. And I think that's probably what the directions actually said. 2 decimal places, $signs, yeah. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to start my first formula, and I'm going to keep track of how much I'm spending. Now remember, I do have to buy 10 items. I can buy multiple things, but I do have to purchase 10 items. I cannot purchase 9. I cannot purchase 11. You also need to spend $1 million, almost exactly. You can go above $1 million by $100, or you can go below $1 million by $100, and that's it. And that's harder to do than you think. Alright, so check this out. All formulas in Excel start with an equal sign. That's important. Now, instead of me just typing out the numbers, I'm actually going to use something called a cell reference, and that means I'm just going to click in cell B2. So here's B2, that's my cost of the item. When I click in cell B2, notice that the B2 comes into my formula, and it comes up here in my formula bar. Okay? I'm going to say I want to multiply this, which is the little asterisk. If you hold shift on your keyboard and press the number 8, that's your multiply sign, times 10. So I'm going to click in cell C2, and then on my keyboard I'm going to press enter. And now 10 of these Amazon Echoes in black is going to cost me $1,799.90. Alright, let's get our other formula going down here for our grand total. Alright, our grand total is actually going to be all of these cells added together. So check this out. I'm actually going to come up here and I'm going to go to formulas. I'm going to use something called auto sum. When I hit auto sum and I press on sum, notice how I get a little blue box above the cells, or above the cell that I have clicked in. And if you read it, it says equals, which is all formulas start with an equal sign. It says sum, which means it's going to add cells D2 through D11. Remember how we talked about a cell range, and you see that colon right there? That means it's going to add everything from cell D2 to cell D11. I'm going to press enter. So right now I only have this one item. Let's just say that I, go back to Amazon and purchase something else. Check this out. This is kind of cool. I don't know what this is. Let's get this thing. I don't know what it is. All new Echo Dot 2nd generation. Let's get that. Whatever it is. Paste it in there. make my cells a little wider. Notice how I just double-clicked. Double-click is something called auto-fit. If I just double-click, it actually widens or shrinks, depending on what cells you have. These are $49. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to say $49.99. Let's say, I want to buy 10 of them. I don't want to have to retype my formula right here. So remember how I said you have this fill handle that copies things into other cells? When you have a formula, it'll actually copy the formula, and the formula will adjust itself. So it's not basically, it's not multiplying these cells, it's not multiplying cells B2 and C2, it's actually going to multiply cells B3 and C3. So check this out, I'm just going to pull it all the way down and get all of these cells, and now notice, my formulas are here, and they adjust as I click down. So this is multiplying cells B3 and C3, that's these two cells. This is multiplying B4 and C4. So as I do my shopping and I plug in my prices, this will automatically calculate, alright? So let's just say I want to buy like a Britney Spears poster. Let's say that that poster is $50. Let's say I want to buy 10 of them. Watch my number over here, and then watch my amount over here. Boom, automatically calculates it and automatically adds it up down here. Alright guys, so the majority of this project is you guys just trying to basically build your formulas and keep track of how much you're spending. And remember, you do have to spend $1 million. This is a long video, so I'm going to cut it off right here.